Previously on the LarschCast.
So
Dr.
This is
Dangle's
this is like the swear jar.
It's the swear jar.
So I notice Tej has a lot, and then everyone else doesn't have much, and no one has ever sworn in the guest chair.
Yeah.
Well, you fucking guys.
There you go.
You know, I speak for the fans in a lot of ways. I know how they feel. They're great. They're loyal. They want to bang for their buck.
Welcome to episode 48 of the LarschCast. Today, LarschCasters TJ, Sat, Gulu, and Nav are joined by Sportsnet 650's own Andrew Walker. We'll be discussing the NHL awards. We'll be debating the top 10 players in the NHL and more. Let's go.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 48 of the LarschCast. My name is Sat. I'm hosting today. I got TJ with me, Nav, our producer Gulu, and special guest Andrew Walker of Sportsnet 650. How's it going, Andrew?
Good. What's up, boys? Good to see you again.
Absolutely. I'm loving the hair. I got to make a little comment about the hair, though. You got kind of turn your head to the side. Show us what you got. There you go.
Yeah, it's it's out of control. This is 17-year-old Walker hockey hair not being in the office again. And I tried to cut it myself 2 months ago, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And now I'm just rolling with it.
You realize the barbershops are open now, Andrew. You know, you can fix that up.
Well, yeah. But the one I go to close to my house, it's like they don't answer their phone. It's no walk-ins. They're like, you have to go online.
Yeah.
And it's like it's booked for at least 2 weeks. So I just kind of gave up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just put yourself in, and then when it's time, then you'll see if you want to go in or not.
My buddy just opened up a new place on Cambie. It's called El Barbero. Have you heard of them?
No, Cambie and what?
I think it's about Cambie and 15th.
Okay.
Just,
that's not far.
No, he's wicked. If you need an appointment, I can hook you up.
Well,
I don't.
I obviously don't need an appointment. I think I look great.
All right. Well,
you look like Yager. You look like Yarmer Yager, man.
That's what I was gonna say. It's Yager hair. That's what it is, right?
I've gotten Matthew Tkachuk. I've gotten Joe Exotic.
No. You look like Yager. Don't worry. You look all right.
Yager's good. He's not as curly, but anyways, yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we're just gonna have a casual discussion here, talking about the top 10 NHL players. As you see them. I think you had a question on Twitter the other day, and you got quite a bit of response from Canucks Twitter, and maybe everyone didn't really agree with every player you had, but everyone's got opinions. So let's get into that. TJ, I think you had some comments on the top 10 players, eh?
Well, I just wanted to rehash Andrew's picks here. So you had, in no order, you had McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Crosby, Kucherov, Kane, and for me, the biggest thing was you left off Ovechkin. How do you I don't know if you guys met. I just had a flash. Is my connection stable, guys? Yeah? Okay. How do you leave off Ovechkin? How do you leave off Ovechkin?
Okay, well, a few things. Number one, I don't know if we heard all those picks there. To round it out, it was Kane, Kucherov, Yossi, Hedman, Panarin were on there. But a few things. This is a really hard exercise to do. I don't know if you guys tried it, but I know I say all the time, if I'm talking about a good player, it's like, oh yeah, that guy's a top 10 player in the league, man. And then I realized I say that about 25 guys, right? Like I say all the time, oh, Jack Eichel's a top 10 player. But he didn't make my top 10. It's damn near impossible to whittle it down.
Well, the thing is, Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer of our generation, and he might be of all time.
Okay, I don't give a shit about that. There's rules, though. There's rules. Number one, it's not who has the best career. I love Ovechkin, man, but it's not who's had the best career. It's not who would you start a franchise with, right? Like a lot of people had Pettersson in their top 10, which I can't agree with, but people are like, well, he's think how look good he is and he's 21 or whatever. Like, yeah, but that's not what it's about. It's about like a 7-game series tomorrow. Who's your guy?
I'm going to cut you off there again because Ovechkin today, like now, he just won his 9th Rocket Richard. So this isn't about his whole career. He's still the best goal scorer in the game.
He scores a lot. He scores a lot of goals, but and man, he's like number 12 for me. Like he's not off the list by far.
He's not even 11.
No.
He's number 1 for me. He's number 1.
But he doesn't like. That's what he does. He's a little one-dimensional now, and that's not even a bad thing. He scores goals is the hardest thing to do. But it's not like he kills penalties. He had 19 assists this year, so like he's like 40th in scoring in the NHL. He's excellent. But I just can't, in good conscience, have him in my top 10 when you're asking me to not put in Kucherov or not put in Hedman or Yossi. It's insane.
I want to go around this whole group here. How many of you guys do not have Ovechkin in your top 10? Gulu, how about you? You don't have Ovechkin?
I don't have Ovi in my top 10. I put Malkin in before I put in Ovi, so I think that Malkin would probably be number 11 for me.
Oh, that's fine. I disagree, but like that's fine. Your opinion.
No,
Sat, how about you?
so the 10 that Walker had, you can't disagree with him. Kind of when he went back to and said, there's 25 top 10 players, right?
You can disagree with
No.
Ovechkin,
I guess. Hang on, it's my opinion.
I'm just
my opinion. So I mean, the one player I could take out is Yossi, right? I could take out Yossi for not Carlson, Ovechkin. But even that, Carlson I think is better than Yossi as well. But just having said that, like Malkin's a great pick. He's not in there, and I think Malkin's way better than Ovechkin overall, right? If you had a number 1 center, he's like the best number 2 center in the league, right? Yeah,
I felt sick leaving off Malkin.
Yeah,
but I didn't know what to do. Like the guys that I work with gave me heat because neither of them had Patrick Kane on their top 10, and that blew me away a little bit. Like Kane is. I don't even think it's fair to say, Kane's not what he used to be. He had 110 points last year. And this year he was on pace for 99. Like, I know he doesn't play a lot of defense, but, man, that guy is the only guy that scores more is McDavid.
Yeah, and, I mean, you have to have him on there, right? So, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. Nav, what do you think?
No, I mean, not only did I have Ovechkin in my top 10, I had Ovechkin in my top 5.
You guys are killing me.
Ovechkin, well, I don't know if TJ's your thing sucks. I said Ovechkin he's in my top 5, and I think Malkin's in my top 5 too. So I don't think it's even close. The fact that Ovechkin's not in your top 10, I'm not sure who's better.
So if Malkin and Ovechkin are both top 5, who are the other 3? Crosby, McDavid, and who else?
Crosby, McDavid, and Draisaitl.
So who are the other 5 guys then?
All right, I wrote it down here. Hold on, sorry. In no particular order?
No particular order.
Okay, no particular order. I had Patrick Kane, Kucherov. I had Nathan McKinnon. I had Hedman. And then the 10th one I had a problem with. 10th one I was having issues. I was either thinking it was going to be Carlson or I hate to say it, Marchand.
What?
I hate to say it, but you know what? He does everything. I hate him as a
Bergeron's
player.
better than Marchand on that team, though.
I don't know. I think Marchand does more. Personally, as much as I despise the guy, if you're just looking at my list, I would pick Marchand. If he's not 10 for me, he's 11. As much as it kills me to say it, he's a top 10, 11 player for me in the NHL. Easily.
Marchand was in my top 10, and everyone just thought I was trolling, but it's not. But it's not true. He was. If I was trolling, I would have put Matthews in there. But Marchand is in my top 10. Yeah. He scores an incredible amount of points. He's been between 85 and 100 every year. He's one of the best penalty killers in the league. We can hate on him all we want, but he's an elite agitator, and he's a playoff beast. He wins. He's been to 3 finals. Like Brad Marchand, he is a top 10 player no matter how you slice it.
I couldn't agree more. If anybody in here or in Vancouver says PD's even in their top 15, you're out to lunch.
He shouldn't be there. I don't think he's. Give it 2 years, right?
I think right now he's probably not even he's barely in the top 25. I mean, I think he's going to be.
I would say
going to be eventually, but he's not anywhere near.
To 20.
No, he's not.
No,
I think you can make a case for top 17 to top 20.
Yeah, at least that.
Yeah,
you could make a case, but he has no track record, right?
But that depends. That depends on how you feel he stacks up with Barkov, Eichel, Austin Matthews. Like if you're like, Pettersson's better than all those guys, okay.
Marner.
Then you have for centerman. Like if you think he's better than all those guys, then that's where you have him ranked. I think he's in that tier. I don't think he's better.
Yeah.
Walker, let me take this back to Ovechkin for a second, because you talk about playoff performance and playoff success, and your whole question is about who would you put on your team in the playoffs? Like who
this year though? This year he's saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying like even as far as like this year and last year and 2 years ago on the cup run, Ovechkin is a playoff performer, and right now he's a better two-way player than he's ever been in his entire career, thanks to Barry Trotz. I still do not understand the one-dimensional aspect that you throw at him, because I don't see him playing one-dimensional hockey anymore. He's out there, he's back-checking like I've never seen him back-check before.
He's a bit one-dimensional in the sense that he doesn't kill penalties and he's not on the ice in the final minute. He's still a great player. He's still like 11.
He is now. He's out there in the final minute now.
He's 11 or 12 on my list, but like he's a year. He's now 2 years removed from the amazing Stanley Cup run, and he's like he's in his mid-30s. I just can't in good conscience look at. When you watch Kucherov live, when you watch Patrick Kane live, those guys are just a little better than he is right now.
Here's a question. Where would Stamkos be on your list?
No, he's got to be.
Like he's dropped off. I think he's dropped off kind of massively.
He's top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's top 20, but I never considered, like I went through my list, like I had guys off, I had guys on, I had Bergeron in there for a while, I had Malkin there, I had Ovechkin on, and they fell out, and they came in and whatever. And I never considered – I considered Matthews and Eichel in that list ahead of Stamkos, even though he's a very good player.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stamkos, ever since he came into the league, he's had a great career till now, but he's had so much more potential and hype than he's gotten to. It just always seems to be there's something else that he should be getting, another level he should be getting at. And I don't know what it is. It's just,
He's always been tricky because he's had a couple injuries, including the big broken leg one.
The meniscus
he's never really been a guy that we've talked about for the Hart Trophy. When he plays for Team Canada, he's kind of that guy. He's like, he plays in the third line, which is a compliment that you can change your role, but it's not like he's Crosby, Bergeron, Marchand on that top line. And then he's and Tampa hasn't won a cup yet, which is, I mean. I don't know. It's tough. But Stamkos has always been a bit of a guy that hasn't quite popped to me as much as other guys. I don't know.
I want to hear Sat and Gulu. I want to hear your list, your top two, and then I'll Sat, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write my list down, but I mean, what going on Nav, like I agree with most of what Nav said. Possibly taking out Marchand though. Like I wouldn't have Marchand in there. I would have had Bergeron ahead of him. But other than that, I can't disagree with it. Like it's too tough to narrow down to 10, right? It's like the top 50 when they left Malkin out. Like, what are you gonna do, right?
So you would put both. You would put Bergeron ahead of Malkin.
No, not Malkin. Marchand. No, I would put Bergeron ahead of Marchand.
And both of those ahead of Malkin.
No, Malkin would be in for me.
Okay. How about you, Gulu?
Yeah.
See, this is why you got to write it down, Sat, because I feel like you're saying every guy's in your top 10.
No, honestly, if I was going to go top 10, I wouldn't put any defensemen in there. Like, I agree they're very important, but I wouldn't have any defensemen in there.
But see, I go the opposite route with that, because I feel like every time we name top players, we kind of leave out defensemen. But like, do you have a number one defenseman is very rare. Like a top end defenseman in the league is very rare. So like a Hedman or a John Carlson. Yeah, there's not many of those guys around, right? So I think those guys should be in the top 10.
I just wouldn't build it out that way. I'd go for
first. I agree mostly with Walker's list. The only change I would make is Roman Josi for John Carlson. John Carlson over the last 2 seasons has been the highest scoring defenseman. Like he is amazing, right-handed, huge. Still at the right side of 30. He's an amazing player. So
I said the same thing.
Very similar to mine. I also switched Josi and Carlson as well, and I also I added Pasternak. So my list was Ovechkin, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, Panarin, Pasternak, Hedman, Kane, and Marchand and Carlson. So those are my 10.
You don't have Draisaitl in your top 10.
I took Draisaitl out.
That's crazy.
For this reason alone.
Crazy.
I'll tell you why. He there's a lot of like advanced metrics that go into analyzing his play, and he's one of the best producers in the NHL. But if you look at those metrics, they show a different story to Draisaitl's game. Which
no, they don't. What other story?
You talk about Ovechkin being one-dimensional.
50 goals and 100 points last year. He's 23.
You talk about Ovechkin being one-dimensional. That story is being told about Draisaitl could potentially.
But no, but
be
he gets the goals and the assists, so that's the difference. He's a playmaker and a goal scorer. That's not one dimensional.
But if you're just talking about offense,
and he's doing it with like bums, you know what I mean? Like him and McDavid make the top 6 in Edmonton. If we're being honest, like
man, if Leon Draisaitl played for the Canucks and led the entire NHL in scoring by 20 points and was going to win a Hart Trophy and was 23, and it's not like the Oilers are bad anymore. They were going to roll into the playoffs with ease. You would not be trotting the advanced stats of Draisaitl.
It's not even the advanced.
You might not agree with Ovi in the top 10, but not having Draisaitl there.
Draisaitl's my 11th.
Criminal.
He's my 11th. He's my 11th. But
just cut off his internet.
Hey, I'm a big.
Hold up. I'll call his mom. I'll call his mom to cut it out.
No, I honestly think if you took Ovechkin on the same team and put Draisaitl, I compared him to Draisaitl on the same team, Ovechkin would have a bigger impact.
No way.
Draisaitl.
No, not
no, he wouldn't.
No, like a center has a bigger impact on the game than a winger.
He's the greatest goal scorer in the NHL. How do you just deny that in the?
That's not true. He's sharing the Rocket Richard this year.
That year they win the playoffs, but he hasn't played in the playoffs in a long time. And how can you put both?
He hasn't been in the NHL in a long time.
They haven't had any playoff success. They can't even
played in the
playoffs.
Who, Edmonton?
Yeah, these guys haven't had any playoff success. And we're
how many years? You're
gonna put 2 Oilers in the top 10?
Yes.
In a playoff series to win, they haven't had any success in the playoffs.
Okay, fair. You know what? Fair enough. You can say that, but then you can say, Ovechkin. How many years has he choked in the playoffs? How many years has Washington choked in the playoffs? They had one run.
Well, we're talking about
one run
now.
If he's the greatest goal scorer of all time, he should have more than 1 cup. And I agree he should be in the top 5. But
you hear the argument I'm making is it's based on the fact that Draisaitl and McDavid are regular season heroes at this point, and you want to put 2 of them in the top 10 compared to all these actual playoff performers that have had success in the playoffs, and the greatest goal scorer of our time who's had success and won a cup.
Okay, so
McDavid and Draisaitl are about to start their run of playoff. Experiences.
They haven't started.
Have you watched any?
They're about to start. They're about to start.
Have you watched any Edmonton games? Have you seen the way Draisaitl plays? He does not play a sissy-ass
They're
game.
great
in
the
a fucking
season right
monster.
now, but they haven't had that success. So what if they lose to Chicago?
Then they lose to Chicago. That has nothing to do with one player, man.
Because you're talking about top 10 players that you would pick now to win.
Come
and
on.
you're saying McDavid and Draisaitl, if they lose to Chicago, it doesn't matter here? It does matter here.
No, dude. You counter-argue your own argument, because I know for 5 minutes from now you're going to explain why Pettersson should be in the top 15 because he's 21, he's 22.
I never said that once now.
But you're going to.
No, I'm not. I'm actually keeping it real here.
Okay, hang on. So Walker,
you're actually keeping it real, so you don't keep it real 90% of the time?
99% of the time.
You're an eye doctor. You encourage safety. You love safety. Make sure you wear goggles, protection. Don't look at the eclipse. All that kind of stuff. Don't get pink eye if you're me. Be very careful. Be very careful. And it shows in your picking because you are super safety Steve right now. You're taking guys that have had past success that you can play. Hey, he has a cup and he has a cup and he has. I'm not talking about what they've done. I'm talking about, and not what they will do. I'm talking about right now and now.
If you're talking about right now, why didn't you not include the Rocket Richard co-winner Pasternak in your list? Because right now he is arguably the best goal scorer in the NHL.
Yeah, you like goals.
He does.
Okay. All right, but right now, yes, Pasternak did tie for the goal scoring lead. And the guy not in your top 10 won the Art Ross by 20 points.
Okay, man. It's arguable, yeah. But if you take away
arguable? No, it's not arguable.
If you take away McDavid from the Oilers, where do you think how points would Draisaitl have?
He would be freaking right there, man.
He would still be fine, man.
He wouldn't be.
He'd be fine.
In the 90-point range, I would say 90 to 95.
Connor McDavid was injured? Was it last year for a little while? Or was it previous year? This year. And Draisaitl, you'll go back and look at the stats. I think he was killing it.
That's why Draisaitl is going to win the Hart, because he did his best work this year when McDavid went out.
Yeah, you can't. That's just idiotic to say Draisaitl's not in the friggin' top 5,
might be
top 10. Come on.
I think you guys
are you just saying this to drum up some controversy just because you like doing that shit? This makes no sense to me.
Hey, that's my game. What are you doing?
I'm not sure who's more hated, you or TJ.
This is crazy debate.
I know he's got crappier internet.
You guys are crapping on me for taking Draisaitl out, but I mean, I think it's equally crappable and to take
What kind of word is crappable?
equally of a crappable argument to say that you should have Ovechkin on the list. So
I would encourage all of, because it's really easy to pick apart guys' lists. I would encourage all your viewers, your moms basically, to to go make your own top 10 list, because it is really fucking hard. It is so hard.
It's so hard.
All the ladies that ghosted you, Walker, they're our viewers too, actually. So
yeah.
Okay, how many times have you been ghosted during this COVID?
Hey,
that was a rapid Larsch question.
No, hold on. I know.
Don't
The one time he wasn't ghosted, he had that eye problem. That's all I know, man.
That's true. No one knew about that. My love life has been better. It's been worse. It's not too bad.
Every time Walker gets ghosted, it's some medical condition, right? So
an angel gets its wings. I know other people had rougher 2020s. I've had a rough 2020.
I know. I've been listening to you, but I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's been brutal. I had the eye thing out of nowhere. That was bad. And then so sitting in isolation last month. On my birthday, I had an emergency root canal during COVID. Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does
Anyway,
that even happen?
pretty bad.
I don't know, infected tooth. Too many.
You know what? I was gonna say for the future, I'd recommend an eye doctor, but you know what? I don't think you want to see him because obviously he's not seeing 2020 right
blind.
Yeah, go to the ones in Edmonton. Apparently, they're better actually. So
You don't need to be an eye doctor to know that Draisaitl is a good player.
The other thing is, I didn't have a goalie on my list.
Yeah.
Even though it's so important, and I don't think any of you guys did either.
No, I didn't either.
Why and who would the guy be if you had to force one?
Vasilevsky. It has to be Vasilevsky for me.
Yeah, same here.
Same for me.
If you would have asked
It
me
was
2 years
between
ago,
Vasilevsky and still I put Rask potentially up there. Actually, I think Rask is actually maybe right now the best goaltender in the league, but Vasilevsky's numbers are just a little bit better. So, and he's playing again on I don't know. He plays the majority of the games for Tampa. He gets more wins that way and more volume. And Boston, they just kind of split their games with Halak and Rask a little bit more. But I think Rask is arguably the best goaltender in the NHL right now.
I think the system for Boston's a bit better though than Tampa's, right? Yeah. Like it doesn't really matter who their goalie is as much.
Do you guys think, currently at this time, maybe it's the first time in like the last few generations that there isn't like just a superstar goaltender? Like we've had Carey Price. Before that, obviously you had like the Brodeurs, the Patrick Walls, the Haschicks. Can you name somebody right now that's at that level? Like, wow, that guy's
Vasilevsky's pretty damn good, man. Honestly,
would you rate him up there with Carey Price though, and the Brodeurs of the world? Like,
Carey Price is good for a couple of years, man. Like, he hasn't been that good of a goalie like his whole career.
I think Nav, you're talking
just
about
as bad as he hasn't been good. Like, Carey Price, the name is bigger than the Carey Price, the player. That's my feeling on him. There's
a deeper point that Nav is making, though. It's just that right now, with the way the league is trending, goaltenders aren't as important as they used to be. They're more replaceable, and I think that people have done a lot of studies on that and research on that, and it's becoming true. I mean, and that goes into the whole: should we sign Markstrom long term, or should we sign him at all and let Demko, take over the reins? I think that's important to note that goaltending has changed because the game has changed, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back to that point where you had the Haschicks and the Raw and the Brodeurs, and they were the ones winning the cups, and if you didn't have one of them, you didn't win a cup. I think it's a little bit of a different game, and you can win with a Binnington out of nowhere, or you can win with a, who else? Tim Thomas had a crazy run.
I was gonna say that was the last time a goalie was a major reason the team probably won a Stanley Cup. Does Boston win the cup without Tim Thomas? Probably not. But when was the last time since those 8 years?
Matt Murray was another one, maybe.
But he also had Crosby and
you also have
killing it.
Binnington was a big reason why St. Louis won.
Well, which guys have won the Conn Smythe? Cam Ward won it in 06.
Yeah,
and he was
Jaguar.
He was insane.
Jaguar won it as they lost though.
But he lost.
Yeah. Tim Thomas, obviously. Yeah.
Tim Thomas, did he win the Conn Smythe?
Did Tim Thomas? Yeah.
Fleury won the Conn. No, he hasn't. No,
I don't know. But at the end of the day, goalies, it's an easy pick to choose as Conn Smythe. But it hasn't happened lately. Like
O'Reilly won it for St. Louis, and Ovi won
O'Reilly, Ovechkin.
Ovechkin won it. Crosby.
Yeah.
Crosby.
I just think it's because goalies. No matter what, they're always important in a game, right? It's tough to.
Didn't Fleury win it one year? The year before.
I think Fleury won it the first time they won the cup.
Yeah, with the back-to-back wins.
I don't think Fleury has one.
No?
Okay.
I think
Okay, maybe wrong.
Crosby has 2. Malkin has
Well,
1.
on this topic of goaltenders, who's you guys pick for the Vezina winner this year? And we can go through the NHL awards, maybe just the Hart, Norris, Vezina.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Vasilevsky, man.
Yeah.
Same here. I agree.
I think the Vezina is actually a slam dunk that it's going to be Connor Hellebuck.
You think?
No, I think so.
Yeah.
Hellebuck
I
is
don't
up
know.
there too. Yeah.
Like
he's got
he's good, but like I just think where like the Jets finished is just it's a bit different. I don't know. I know they had a shitty defense all year, so it makes sense.
That's the reason why Hellebuck actually like kept them relevant. Remember going into this season, we thought the Jets were gonna fall off a cliff, and their whole defense got dismantled, and they when they traded Trouba and Bufflin wasn't playing, and Myers went to the Canucks.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Hellebuck, there's a real strong argument for him, and a lot of people I think support him. Do you have a vote in the ballots here?
No, it's more we are NHL broadcasters, but that will be the like batch, like Brendan Batchelor and Corey Hirsch will get votes.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
I think
For
Randy
whatever.
Janda had one for something too.
For coach, I think, right? I think he had for coach of the
For
year.
Jack Adams, yeah,
Jack
that's
Adams,
right. And then the hockey writers will get one. Yeah, I'm just a talk show host. They would never trust me with a ballot. I would say that it's funny about the Vezina. I roll my eyes at fans being fans, and I think Canucks can have a lot of homers. Every fan base does, but nothing beats Detroit. There's Detroit's Twitter. There are people trying to make the argument for Jonathan Bernier getting Vezina votes right now because they're like, we were like historically bad, but he would make so many spectacular saves.
Oh God!
Because we were so bad.
So they lost by less goals because of him.
Well, they said they were so bad that the goalie had to face the biggest number of high quality chances.
Oh God!
Yeah.
So Gulu, who do you pick for Vezina?
Vasilevsky.
Okay. Now
2 years in a row.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same. Yeah, I think.
If you want to go back to that Conn Smythe conversation, I actually pulled up how many goalies have won since 2000. All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In 2001, it was Patrick Waugh. In 2003, it was J.S. Jaguar. In 2006, Cam Ward. In 2011, Tim Thomas, and then in 2012, Jonathan Quick. There hasn't been a goalie that's won since then. Yeah.
So I think that kind of like it goes into the same kind of time frame where all the superstars in the league started becoming younger players, right? Because 2001 to 2011, 2012, like it was still the premier players were not really veterans, but they're like in their prime, and the primes were kind of late 20s, early approaching 30. And then after maybe 2013, 2014 is when all the big time superstars were like first, second, third year players, right? And goalies, unfortunately or fortunately, they don't really play until their mid 20s. It's just the way that their development arc is, right? So I think it's just more that people just tend to go towards the younger players.
Well, and I don't know how many guys are, because it used to be Waugh. You mentioned these names. Waugh, for me, Waugh, Brodeur, Hasek, and Belfour were the 4 guys that you would go into a series, and you're like, well, I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter because that guy just might win the whole series himself. He might just decide.
Yeah.
And now I don't know. Like, is there any team in the West that's like, oh, the Canucks are facing this team? Like, can they beat? It's more about the team. Can they beat this team? Well, I don't know if they can beat the Blues, but like, you don't get worried about getting stoned by just an individual goal.
I would argue Markstrom is one of those goalies that he could win a series. I don't think he can do what those guys did and win 4 series.
But the
I think
difference
Markstrom can win a series.
But the difference with that is, Markstrom could get hot. But no one's coming in. You think Minnesota's coming in like, oh crap, we're playing Markstrom?
I think so.
Could care less. No,
I think they're looking out for Markstrom. Yeah, of course.
No, I don't. No,
but going back to Walker's question though,
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any goalie like that.
No. Like they don't exist anymore. Like I said.
I think that most of the systems you see now, like who has an overly defensive system that's in the playoffs? It's all of an offensive system. You score goals. It's not preventing goals. It's how many goals can you score, right? So
score your
I think the discussion's a bit different now. It's not, how can we stop this player? It's more like, okay, if McDavid's going to score 2 goals a game, how are we going to get 3 goals a game?
Yeah.
Right.
How about Norris? How about the Norris? Walker, we'll start with you. Who's your pick for Norris winner this year?
My pick is Hedman. I think he gets a little we forget about all those guys on Tampa because they have so many good players, but like Hedman is so good and he had such a good season. And Carlson's great and Yossi's so good, but I if I was getting a vote, I would still go Hedman, even if people are tired about the Hedman conversation.
Gulu, what about you?
John Carlson all the way.
Sat?
You know what? I'm good with Hedman or Carlson. I get the thing about Yossi. I mean, he's just good all around, and he's had a couple of offensive streaks and stuff, but he just doesn't have like the sexy cachet. He's just never like in your face, really that good. Hedman's like he's a beast everywhere, and Carlson. I mean, you can't deny his offensive, production this year. It's like historic. So I mean, I think it has to go to Carlson though.
How about you now?
Exactly what Sat said. I think Yossi's great, but again, he plays in Nashville. I don't know how many people are watching him as much as they should. John Carlson's been a beast. The points he was putting up, especially in October, November. I mean, he was on pace to like beat some forwards for points, so it's got to be Carlson.
He was leading the NHL in scoring for a little bit.
That's
He
what
was
was,
really
yeah.
well.
When was the last time that happened for any period of time, right? So
Bob
Yeah.
Orr.
For me, it's between Carlson and
Coffee.
Hedman too. I'm leaning Carlson just because of his historic season that he's having. I mean, he had 10 more points than the next highest defenseman, which was Yossi, and then he had 20 more points than the next third highest, which was Hedman. So if we're really talking about the Norris Trophy and you're leading the second best runner-up, by 20 points in the scoring, I gotta go with Carlson.
But you know what? Having said that, look at the production like from November onwards. Take October out of the picture, and then you'll see a completely different story, right? It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
month and a half.
it was a wild October, yeah, for sure.
but hey, games in October count just as much as
They do.
in
Absolutely, they
March
do.
and
Absolutely.
April, right? So
It's
he's
just
putting
that
up
it's
points.
not. It's a really hot start. He
Yeah.
still produced the whole season. It's just not
Yeah.
not as.
But
close.
like Nav said, games matter. Every game in the season matters. If St. Louis didn't go on a crazy losing streak,
They started playing in January.
run the
That's the
table in
difference,
the
right?
second half last year, right? And so he helped the Washington Capitals get off to a hot start, and they maintained their pace. And other guys stepped up, and Carlson didn't tail off completely. He was still producing, but
Yeah.
I mean it's a close one. I think Carlson will win it, but I mean there's an argument for Hedman there. Okay, let's just go quickly to who's the coach of the year, and then we'll do the executive of the year.
Well, coach of the year always goes to the guy that coached the team that didn't do very well the year before to like the best jump. So, I mean, if you believe in that, I mean, Dave Tippett is in the conversation. I always think for these we forget about the guys like the John Coopers because you're like, yeah, but I could coach that team. But I think managing a lot of good players with ice time and everything like that, I think it has its own collection of challenges.
I think for me, I'd want to, I guess, go with Rod Brindamore. I mean, Carolina is like they're such a good team. Just unfortunate where they play, right? Like they're just full of good teams, and they kind of squeaked in or just on the bubble, but they don't belong in the bubble. And on the West, they'd be a top 3 team, I think, right? And he gets the team, and they're a bunch of jerks, and they do well, and they're an actual team. I mean, they're probably the one true team in the NHL, and I think Brindamore should get it. I don't know if he'll actually get any votes, but
I don't know if you guys had coaches growing up in different sports, but like the ones that you wanted to go through a wall for were so amazing, right? And Brindamore's kind of that guy.
It seems like it. Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta go with I love to hate him with John Tortorella. Look how many players he lost in Columbus last year. Panarin, the goalie. I mean, did anybody expect them to be anywhere close to the playoffs? And I think he's killed it this year. He's done really well. I think he's probably going to win, in my opinion. I think I'd even be willing to put money on it that he's going to take that trophy home.
Actually, you mentioned the goalie, Bobrovsky. Like, nobody talks anything about him now, right? We had a whole conversation on goalies for about 5 or 10 minutes, and not one person mentioned Bobrovsky.
You sign a big money deal sometimes, man. Like
the goalie had to
go off to Florida. Like it's like you forget about being a professional athlete. But I actually my
Gulu left.
Oh, what's that?
No, TJ, go first, TJ.
Well, my pick is Jared Bender and for the Colorado Avalanche because, I mean, throughout this year, the Avalanche had stretches where they didn't have their superstars playing. Like Rantanen was out for a while, McKinnon was out for a bit, Landeskog was out for a bit, and he kept this team like rocking. I know they had a lot of players, but they also had a lot of new players coming to the team, which means you have to, find the new chemistry and find what works. And it's not like you're carrying over a lot from last year. So he kind of like took a whole scramble of new players, talented players, and had to deal with injuries. And the goaltending is a little bit suspect. I mean, We have Frank Kuz and Grubauer. I mean, there's not a real standout. They both played well, but it's not a bona fide number one situation. I think Grubauer is the number one guy, but I would go with the Avalanche. It's been a really good year, and I feel like Colorado is one of those that could win both Coach of the Year and Executive. To be honest,
I was gonna
one of
say
those
that.
guys, right? But that's my pick. Gulu.
Alain Vigneault, man. Alain Vigneault, yeah.
That's not bad, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
the Flyers are one of the hottest teams before the season ended, and going into the playoffs now, I think they got as good a chance as any to win the Stanley Cup. And with Vigneault behind the bench there and the experience that he has, I have a feeling that they have a great chance to make a deep
They're
run.
gonna lose in the finals for sure. I think. Yeah.
But
It might be the tightest award because those are all good picks.
Yeah.
Bruce Cassidy too. Like, let's be honest. Bruce Cassidy was
Craig Berube, man, Stanley Cup hangover, and they win the West.
One thing about.
Okay, well, he's off.
One thing about what?
What's that?
What did you say? One thing. You said one thing about, and then you cut off.
Oh, sorry. One thing about the Bruins, though, that their goal differential is by and large like leading the pack in the whole NHL. Like they are miles above the competition in their goal differential. You got to give some credit to Bruce Cassidy for that too. I think.
You know what? Like, goal differential is great in the regular season, but at the end of the day, in the playoffs, all you need is a goal differential of like 1. Make sure you win the last game of the season, right? That's all you need.
Speaks to the
I know, but that's
okay. Executive of the Year, Walker.
Honestly, man, how many guys can you name? And Executive of the Year is different than he's the best executive. But I'm not sure that anybody had a better 12 months than Jim Benning.
Ooh, that's what TJ wanted you to say, man. That's all TJ wanted.
No, man. I didn't expect that here. Actually,
set that up for you.
No one made a better draft pick than Quinn Hughes. I mean, if that's technically he debuted as a rookie.
Yeah.
Nobody made a better trade than the JT Miller trade.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Nobody. So like, what else? And he went out, and I know everyone hates on Tyler Myers, but like, forget the salary cap for a second. Tyler Myers helped this team. He made them better. We didn't get to see whether they made the playoffs or not. I guess it depends if you beat Minnesota. I think Jim Benning is decidedly an average in the middle GM, but man, like if you talk about balls and going out and making trades and whatever, I don't know. And then there's the Toffoli deal, which was looking great. I don't know if we're saying, hey, go out, be active, make moves, bring in big names. I don't know if anyone had a better 12 months than Jim Benning. Hey, and it might mean his next 12 months are an absolute dumpster fire. I don't know. But if we're grading on this year for this award, man, he's right up there for me.
But he also signed Michael Furlan. Remember that? That was it.
Yeah, but Furlan, you can argue there's a bit of an issue with concussion protocol. A lot of it depends on the player and their will to play.
Anyways, whatever. He had his history of it. That means
but if he didn't sign Michael Furlan, so buyer beware doesn't sign Michael Furlan. I mean, he didn't really play, so like the Canucks aren't in a different situation.
Yeah, no, but they signed him to be a top 6 forward, and then because that didn't work out, they had to go get Toffoli, right? That's part of the reason.
The thing for me about Jim Benning, I think it depends on the Toffoli deal. If you want to put him up there, if Toffoli walks, it's still considered a part of that 12 months. So now you traded Tyler Madden and a second round pick and I think a lot of assets for a rental when you're not in a position to be doing that. I think that would severely impact his voting. And now that they're voting before the season's concluded, and it's hard to Toffoli could easily walk, and then you reward him for the Toffoli deal. And I don't know, I can't do that. I think.
Yeah. What if Toffoli signs for $4 million a year, right? Then it's like, holy shit, he really does win.
But you don't trade for Toffoli to keep him. I mean, you want to keep him, but when you make that deal, you're not signing him for next year. You're signing him to make the playoffs. That's what you're doing.
Well, see that. So a lot of people would argue here in Vancouver that that's a poor executive move because of the position the team is in. We're not yet like ready to become a contender, and so
because
he's
everyone thinks
forcing-
here thinks Tyler Madden is better than NHL players. I just don't understand that.
It's not that he's better. It's just that he's somebody you don't want to lose for a rental at this point, in my opinion. I think that whole trade comes down to whether Toffoli signs. I hear what you're saying. You're saying he's purely a rental. I'm not sure I see it that way. I do believe that, and what I've heard from Jim Benning and what he's been saying, they want to sign him. So I think it was like
of course you want to, but when you do those deals, that's just not a guarantee. Like you don't do that deal. You got to ask yourself, okay, if he walks, are we still happy with the deal? And if the answer is no, then you don't do the deal. But obviously, they were, because Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, those guys got to play playoff games, man.
It wasn't a bad deal if it was just a rental. But yeah, I can hear what you're saying. There's room to argue that Jim Benning could be in the running for executive of the year, and a lot of people around the league also believe that he's done a really good job outside of this market, of course. But Gulu, who do you think? And Nav, who do you guys pick?
I mean, I picked Joe Sakic. Yeah, Joe Sakic, the Nazem Kadri, his draft record, putting Kale McCarr, sorry. Yeah, exactly. He's done such a great job. That team, leaps and bounds
and still, risking everything with McCarr and that.
Yeah. The past 24 months, he's been doing great, and it shows on the ice. The team is fantastic, right? So
that cap space, man, it's huge. I think.
Yeah.
To have all that with a top 2, top 3 team. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that's my pick. Nav?
Same thing. I was going to go with Gulu, Joe Sakic. He's done almost, what's similar to what Benning's done, but again, like you guys said, his cap, he can add players. He hasn't wasted money on players that you don't need, third and fourth line players. So I think Joe Sakic's team. I mean, I could see Colorado win the cup. They could.
They were my pick before the season even started, and I'm sticking to it right now. Yeah.
So I think they could do it. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to, but they're 24 team. Would you pick anybody else with those? That doesn't have a line like that. And so Sakic.
And again, this award is tricky because even in my hockey pool, like the GM of the Year award basically goes like, who was really active, who had balls, who made big trades and got his team into the playoffs, and who went for it. And with this, because we're going to give out a GM of the Year award next year again. This is only for a 12-month increment, and what Joe Sakic did 2 drafts ago, I can't factor in. I'm looking at this mini pocket, and to me, I give points like the Toffoli deal. That gets you points. You went out, you had balls, you got a player, and then that player was good for you. Because we cannot, the second round pick in Tyler Madden, in the 12 months that we're voting for Jim Benning as GM of the Year or some other guy, those things don't matter, right? Like if we're voting who's the best GM over 10 years, yeah, we'll factor that in, but we're not.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fair.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt. It depends what you're looking for in a general manager, where you are in the progression of your team, right? I wouldn't say that this guy that I'm going to mention is going to be the GM of the Year, but somebody like the Ottawa Senator, Dorian. I mean, you can say his team's horrible, but you know what? He works for a worst owner probably in sports right now, let alone the NHL, and he's going to have 2 top 5 picks. So I mean, he could turn his team.
He might have picks 1 and 4, 1 and 3.
Yeah, so he might have.
He had a really good 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, he's smart. He's probably laughing at it right now about the Carlson trade. Like, you know what? Are you kidding me? He's killing it.
You know what? That's a good point too. Like you guys mentioned, Benning could be executive of the year. He made a good non-signing by not getting Carlson, right? I mean, everyone was all gung ho about getting Carlson on the Canucks last summer. So
who would be on the flip side if we were giving an award out for the worst GM of this past 12-month period?
Wilson, man.
I would think Wilson would be probably the guy.
Yeah, like there was no
that's
need.
A crippling. Like I don't know how he's still the GM. That's a franchise crippler.
Yeah, and getting Marlowe again, like what are they trying to do there, right? Like,
I mean, I really like this guy. I think he's a smart guy. I think he can have a bad year, but I think Brad Treliving's had a bad 12 months.
Hiring the coach and everything, yeah.
Yeah, the Lucic for Neil deal is a little.
Although they got saved there because Neil didn't get his 20 goals, right?
19 did he have, or 18? Yeah.
Actually, no, they didn't get saved. I guess they wanted to score
and
another goal.
To his credit, Lucic kind of turned it on a little bit toward the end there. He's kind of having a little bit more success with Derek Ryan was the center.
But you know what? We don't talk about the Flames much, right? But I think at the end of last year, like if Trey Living was actually, if he had some balls to make a deal, like he could have done something for Gaudreau. Like he's been non-existent now, right? For a couple of years, and it's one of those things that maybe needs a change of scenery, and he could have fetched a lot last summer.
You watch what happened in the playoffs alone. You know, you got look at a guy like a young kid like Kachuk coming into the league and making an impact like he did his first playoffs, and then Gaudreau, who's been in the league and he had a couple of chances, just non-existent, not making impact, kind of useless to be honest. And those aren't the type of players that are going to help you win. So yeah, it's sad. I mean, I think if you saw a trade like that, yeah, he might have been up for executive of the year too, depending on the return. But
what about the deals you don't make? Like Kekalainen and Columbus, so they went all in last year's playoffs, and then this they lost Matt Duchene and people ripped him. Duchene wasn't that good in Nashville.
Yeah.
They let Bobrovsky walk and replaced him with bargain basement whatever. And guess what? Like the Blue Jackets are in the playoffs again.
Yeah. No, it's all like there's a lot to be said. Like we're always talking about who these best players or these great players are, but sometimes it gets locked into what a superstar is, and maybe if they're all individual, if Ovechkin's getting 50 goals and 19 assists, if you took them off the Washington Capitals, who's to say they're not as good of a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can trade him and get a couple pieces, or let him go. And
I would say Ovechkin off the team, yeah, it makes a difference.
No, but you can't say that. You don't know. Like, look at Panarin. He's lights out this year too. And I mean, of course, they missed him in Columbus, but it's
with
not like
Ovechkin. Just one little note there. Their whole system on the power play is designed for him. So you have
that's
to,
stupid how people can't just
everything
defend
from
against that
scratch.
though. Make it a 4-on-3 and just cover Ovechkin like anything else.
They do have one of the best power play designs, and with I think they started the bumper thing going on to TJ Oshie and Ovechkin. Man, with Backstrom feeding him the pucks, man, that's a wicked power play. And Carlson is just the other guy. He's your other blue liner. That's just like I said.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one, and all the votes and all the texts that people sent in about top 10, Nick Backstrom didn't get mentioned once. And maybe he's not in there, maybe he's past it, but no.
I think he used to be. Yeah, he used to be.
No one gave Backstrom any love though. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, people like I had, fans like, man, Quinn Hughes was in them. I had someone had 4 Rangers in theirs. I had votes for Ryan Ellis and Andrei Svechnikov, like outlandish, and I still didn't get one for Backstrom.
He doesn't get enough love. I agree. Like over his whole career, but he's one of those Swedes that doesn't need
Hall
it.
of Famer.
Yeah.
So he's
gonna be a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
He's like a Sedin.
Yeah.
He didn't get
They don't need the fame, but you look at his production. It speaks for itself. He's been one of the top 10 players of this past 5-year period, I think, in the NHL.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up soon. There, TJ, you want to do the questions there?
No, hold on. We have to have the one before we end. Then we didn't ask the main one: Makar or Hughes.
Oh, come on! You know the answer there.
No,
you already know the answer there.
I want to know Andrew's that proper answer here on air.
Walker's not going to troll and say Makar. I'm going to kick him off the show.
Man,
He's gonna say Makar.
It's so close. I think.
Don't do it.
I think Makar's going to slightly.
No, but who's your pick though?
Who's my pick?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say Hughes because I have a better understanding of Hughes' game because I watched him play more. But I think Makar is going to win it, and I don't think we're allowed to be mad. I just think it's so close. And Makar's
allowed to be mad. You guys in the media, you sports media guys can't be mad. Fan media can be mad.
Makar is a little more dynamic at this point. Like a little more explosive.
How do you say more dynamic than what you see Hughes do? Like Hughes is a better two-way player. We had Duthie on recently. He said this, throughout.
You can't ask the guy's opinion then just try to shit on it, man. Come on, it's his opinion.
No, I
have to shit on it. I don't agree.
I'm going to agree with Andrew. I want Hughes to win, obviously, but I think it's going to be Makar. You look at the player overall. Even his plus minus is substantially better than Hughes. It means something. It may not mean anything to Vancouver fans, but.
Okay,
sky's blue, right, TJ?
I'll coach it this. I'll coach it by saying this. I would not trade Quinn Hughes for Cale Makar, but I think Cale Makar is going to win Best Rookie, and he would get my slight Calder vote.
Yeah. Just like Colorado fans would not trade Cale Makar for a Quinn Hughes.
No, it's the same thing. Ovechkin and Crosby, right? Who got the Calder that year?
Ovechkin did.
Who's got more Stanley Cups? Crosby, right? Who gives a shit about the Calder, honestly?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Okay, so this is the end of the show. The last segment we got for you, Andrew. It's called Rapid Larsch. You didn't do this last time. We're gonna come at you hard and fast with 10 questions. Don't think, just answer. Okay, if you have to skip, you can skip. I'll come back to it though. Tell me when you're ready, and we're gonna get going here.
I'm good. Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. Rapid Larsch with Andrew Walker. First question: which is the worst fan base, Vancouver or Toronto?
Toronto.
What is your favorite quarantine pastime?
Online blackjack.
Who is your favorite co-host of all time?
Dean Molberg. Boomer in Calgary.
Okay. Okay, keep one.
Sat not included. Sat's fantastic.
Keep one and toss one. NBA, NFL.
I'll keep the NFL. I love the NFL.
Okay, A&W or Wendy's?
A&W for obvious reasons.
All right, what's worse, being blind for a month or being stuck at home for 3 months?
Being blind for a month. I know it wasn't that long. I was blind. I felt like I was blind for a few days, but actually, I haven't minded staying at home more than most. I'm kind of in my element. I'm a little bored, but I might take another month when it's all over. I've saved money. That's been the big thing.
Do you remember the name of the doctor who helped you out and saved your eye?
Dr. TJ.
No wonder you went blind. Your probably wasn't bad the first time. You probably made it work.
Get out of here. You're lucky you haven't even come to see me, man. I had to do a foreign body removal out of nowhere, I think.
There's a reason I don't come and see you.
Hey, don't forget, Jason Hare came on. I hooked him up. I saved his vision. And what did he do in the next season? Had a career year, so I don't know now.
Beer league really matters.
The first doc I went to gave me eye drops that were basically gasoline in my eyes. So
there's some of those guys out there, a few bad apples, as they say.
Yeah.
How many times have you been ghosted during quarantine? Here's that question.
How many times have been ghosted during quarantine? Okay, so not true ghosting is when you go out and you meet someone and then you're like, hey, how are you? And you never hear anything back. But in terms of Instagram or texting ghosting, I've been ghosted a couple times during quarantine. Sure. Yeah.
No numbers dropped.
More than this?
One hand or two hands?
Oh, no, that's one hand.
All right, one hand. Right. Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Skip the Dishes?
Skip.
Okay. Nude, neutral, or White Claws?
The fine folks at Neutral Vodka Soda make the best.
You have to say that.
Neutral.
They sponsor you? Oh, well,
no, I do prefer neutrals. I think it goes neutrals, then nudes, then White Claws.
Okay, there you go. That's fine.
White Claws last for sure, though.
If you are the self-proclaimed king of Canucks Twitter, arguable, right? But who is the queen of Canucks Twitter?
Does it have to be a female?
No.
We prefer it isn't.
The second in command? I'm just joking. That's more of a sarcasm.
I know.
Who would be Luke the bartender? Bartender Luke.
You're a good buddy over at the Colony there. No, he's a good guy. All right, that's it for Rapid Larsch with Andrew Walker. And Sat, take us home.
Yeah, again, thanks for joining us here, Walker. We always have fun with you on the show, and we'll make sure to have you back again.
No pushing.
He didn't swear. He didn't swear this time, though. He kind of helped us.
You fucking guys.
You gotta close us out with an epic line, because first
I was gonna ask for that.
The debut of Andrew Walker. If anybody hasn't heard it, episode 16, I think, called "Walk This Way." We have a penalty box we did in the studio, and you got to hear the clip. No guest had ever sworn, and Andrew comes on and he calls us out oh, no guests have ever sworn.
Yeah,
well, fucking guys.
It's tough to top, but I will say, you fucking guys, you do great work, especially now, while everyone's stuck at home. You've been getting some good guests, and you put up with shit lately, and you're taking it well. So, kudos.
Appreciate it. No, absolutely appreciate it. We all have our own part to play, and thanks. It means a lot to us. So. Thanks for joining us. And I think, Gulu, we got to put the intro's got to be his Walker's original time on the LarschCast. I think that
will do. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and follow us at LarschCast on all social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Thank you.